Welcome to our group's presentation on doing business with Mexico. In this presentation, we will be discussing the culture, economics, and advantages and disadvantages that come with doing business with the country of Mexico. To analyze the business and economics of Mexico, we will be discussing several key elements. The Hofstede cultural dimensions came about in the late 1970s and is now used internationally to comprehend the differences between cultures. The graph provides a more in-depth interpretation on the differences in the cultural beliefs between Mexico and the U.S. The power distance dimensions shows that Mexico accepts a hierarchical order where everyone has their place, no questions asked, no justification needed. The U.S., on the other hand, has more of a need for equalization in their distribution of power. In the individual dimension, Mexico is shown to be a collectivist society, which means they are group-oriented. A group is likely to have a leader who takes care of those who follow. The U.S., on the other hand, is more independent by nature. The masculinity of both countries are above average, showing a fairly neutral stance in competitive nature, meaning they are fairly competitive and not an extreme. Mexico scored high in the uncertainty avoidance. This shows a need to have control over future endeavors. In this area, they focus on high levels of standards in beliefs and behavior. The U.S. is more relaxed in this area. Neither country has a high stance on long-term orientation, which shows that their values reflect time-honored traditions of right versus wrong, plus the need for immediate results. The last section shows Mexico in a high level of indulgence, showing that they love life and have little to no restraint in suppressed gratification on a social standpoint. The U.S. shows a little more restraint in this area, but is still classified to have little restraint with gratification. With that information at hand, we can recognize the cultural difference in the way Mexico and the U.S. do business. While pursuing a business in Mexico, keep in mind their high ranks in their perception of power and their need for control over future endeavors. It's important to recognize this person in charge, build on their trust, earn their loyalty, and maintain the same people on your team to avoid making them uncomfortable. In the history of Mexico, one major influence has been religion. 82% of Mexicans claim to be Catholic. Other religious practices are Mormonism, Presbyterianism, Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, and Lutherans. The Mexican culture has a low rank in individualism, so these classifies them as a group-oriented culture. Religion has made a positive impact by teaching them to care for one another. They are often close to all their neighbors. Another historical influence is their cuisines. Mexico is known for their avocados, pumpkins, and chocolate. These foods have spread worldwide. Along with their food, Mexico is known for their festivals. These festivals have proven to be extremely gratifying in their culture, which ties into the indulgence topic of the Hofstede cultural dimension. Now that we have understand a little more about this culture, we can focus on the marketing aspect. Because Mexico has a high indulgence level, when marketing, there needs to be a level of excitement. One idea would be to host a fiesta and present ideas to the business leader. Just remember that timing is important, but not to be pushy. Their business will get discussed. You must be patient. You must conduct your management team in a way that earns trust. A few steps to take to be successful are to schedule meetings in advance, choose a local intermediary, exchange business cards, and dress in appropriate attire. The reason behind scheduling meetings in advance is to be able to gather information so that you may provide details for the group. They want to know titles, positions, and responsibilities of attendees ahead of time. Don't be alarmed if they call off the meeting on short notice. Be respectful and patient with them. There are three important political factors to consider while doing business in Mexico. The three are, first, loss of political power, second, crime and corruption, and third, Mexico's economy and regulations, which will be further discussed in the upcoming slides. Mexico is a federal republic consisted of 31 states, a federal district, and the governmental powers are divided constitutionally between the executive, legislative, and judiciary branches. However, when Mexico was under one-party rule in the 20th century, the president had strong control over the entire system. The Constitution of 1917, which has been amended several times, guarantees personal freedoms and civil liberties and also establishes economic and political principles for the country. When it comes to the trade section, Mexico has the most free trade agreements than any other country. For example, the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, is a major one that the Mexican economy relies on immensely. As you can see, NAFTA alone brought in $1.14 trillion. This helps reduce trade tariffs as trade is already promoted from the relationships that are strengthened from such a trade agreement. The legal system is different from the US system, so firms should consult with their legal counsels so that they may fully understand the legality of the business before entering an agreement. The current administration is near its end of the term next year. This is useful to know since the Mexican platform was to expand strategy and development nationwide, so it is a great time to start a business. The Mexican government does have restrictions on certain sectors of the country. These sectors include control of the national electric system, postal service, telegraphic service, controlling petroleum and radioactive material, and printing money, among others. Certain businesses are also affected, such as aviation and telecommunication. These restrictions would be things to consider when establishing a business relationship with Mexico. An agency was created to help facilitate the business activities between private sectors and the federal and state government. This agency is called the Investment Promotion Agency, ProMexico. The purpose of this agency is to strengthen the programs and resources with the intention of helping the Mexican economy grow. Lastly, a special economic zones were created in 2016 with the intention to help the underdeveloped areas of the country bring in investment opportunities. Special economic zones, or SEZs, add incentives for investors to take in. These charts help illustrate the economic growth in the country of Mexico within the past 5 years. Presented on the left is the GDP growth annual percentage for Mexico, and on the right is the inflation consumer prices annual percentage for Mexico. As we can see, in recent years, there have been years of little growth, such as the year 2013, whereas in the years 2014 and 15, there was some GDP growth that occurred within the country. Conversely, for the inflation section on the right, we see that for the past 5 years, inflation has steadily declined, which is a good indication that the prices would be remaining relatively level, which is good for businesses to consider. Next, we will discuss the Mexican currency graph, the value rate of the peso. The peso exchange rate is rising, so it is safe to assume that it will continue to do so. However, there are always risks that are involved with currency to take another hit out of nowhere. The biggest threat to the peso is more hawkish U.S. monetary policy. The rates may cause the dollar value to rise, which would pull funds from Mexico. There is a lot of weight on the U.S. economy, and how it is doing will impact the Mexican peso currency. Next, we will discuss the regional economic integration for the country of Mexico. In an effort to wean off the dependence on the United States, Mexico became very diverse with 11 trade agreements involving 46 countries. The map depicts the areas that Mexico is involved doing trade with, shown by the colored sections and abbreviations for the agreements. The major agreements are NAFTA, APEC, and EU. The most open free trade enables the economy to grow significantly, making new ventures even more appealing to customers. The larger the population pool of free trade, the easier it is for a business to bloom with any product, which makes Mexico the best option for any of the following business ventures. The first business venture that we will be discussing is a water purifier. The water quality in Mexico, or lack thereof, is a major issue for the inhabitants of the country. Inadequate sewer systems, high level of politicians, and illegal dumping are one of the sources. About 70% of the city has fewer than 12 hours of running water per day. In the hardest hit areas, 18% of the population have to wait several days just for an hour or two of supply. The situation gets worse in periods of drought. A solution for individual families would be a water purifier, specifically Vario. This low-cost solution can be a great tool in the hands of families that are looking to have clean drinking water. The investment in Vario purification system will pay for itself within a year. A product like Vario can easily be produced and sold in Mexico at an affordable price. It combines the latest technology in cleansable ceramic disc, a dual piston pump that increases output, point 0.3 micro fiberglass pleated microfilter that removes contaminants up to 2 quarts per minute. Cartridge life expectancy is 500 gallons, depending on water quality. Includes pre-filter, carry bag, and cleaning pad. Most of the competition is filtered water already in bottles, but that makes pollution even worse. This product has the potential to change people's well-being by having access to healthy, clean water every day. In Mexico, a mosquito patch product would address the problems they are facing with the mosquitoes that are spreading the Zika virus. This virus doesn't cause sickness, but may cause mild symptoms and become more serious with pregnant women as birth defects arise. The major concern is that infection, while pregnant, could cause severe birth defects to take place. It is said that mosquitoes are a problem year-round on the Pacific coast of Mexico. Some products are recommended, including the Autumn Classic, Deep Woods Off, Skeeter Screen, Mosquito, or Dantol. Many of these are spray products that mist spots or cream after the bite occurs. Other patches do not last as long as the kite patch and must be reapplied often. The only vulnerability would be the price. Some of these aerosols may cost a few dollars less than the patch. It is said that Kite mosquito patch is a small, powerful patch that allows humans to go virtually undetected by mosquitoes for up to 48 hours. Kite's compound acts as a non-topical spatial repellent, blocking mosquitoes' ability to detect carbon dioxide, their primary method of tracking human blood meals. It is important to get products on the market so that the people being affected can find some relief and security with their everyday problems. The third product that would be marketed to Mexico are toy blocks. The toy block product is will be blocks that have Spanish words with their English translation imprinted on them. The goal is to have Mexican children enjoy playing with blocks while at the same time learn Spanish words and their English equivalent. Upon research, it appears that the Mexican Talabitas Jacob's ladder is a popular toy in Mexico that consists of blocks. The product of children's building blocks in foreign languages does exist. Geek Alerts is offering children's blocks in 13 different languages. However, it is important to note that the product sold at geekalerts.com is manufactured in Michigan, and that 13 languages available for purchase, English is not one of them. This is an indication that the market for children's building blocks to teach foreign languages in Mexico is untapped. Building blocks have shown to help develop motor and engineering skills in children at a young age, as well as containing a lasting appeal that would resonate with kids of all ages. Research found from the Quetzal Journal discusses the fact that many would like to learn English, but various obstacles prevent this from occurring. Being proficient in English can be an immense social and economic boost for the individual. Teaching English to children at a young age would prove to be advantageous for the child in opening future opportunities